Good afternoon, today is April 27th, and today I'll continue to be talking about the coronavirus. So the first piece of news that I'd like to talk about is that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, has added 6 possible symptoms for the coronavirus to its list, which is a step that reflects the broad variation and unpredictability in the way the illness can affect individual patients. So before, there was only 3 symptoms listed of fever, cough, and shortness of breath for the coronavirus, but now it has included chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, and new loss of taste or smell. So if you have any of these symptoms, it is very likely that you have the coronavirus, and I suggest maybe you should get tested. I think this is echoing the observations of doctors who have treated thousands of patients in the pandemic. And when people who become seriously ill from this virus infection, they primarily develop acute respiratory distress, and other symptoms that accompany the disease can vary very widely, even into like heart attacks. It turned out that I think many people with the virus don't have fevers, or that the fevers wax and wane and are sometimes accompanied by chills, and shortness of breath can emerge at the same time as other symptoms, or it can pop up suddenly a week or even 10 days after a person have been experiencing more manageable symptoms like cough and aches. Personally, I think this is just a show of how widely this virus affects each person, and mostly, yeah. So the second piece of news that I'd like to talk about today is that a team in Oxford have been developing the coronavirus vaccine, and they are basically ahead in the race. So while many other teams have to start with small clinical trials of 100 participants, the Oxford University's Jenner Institute had a head start on the vaccine because they have proved in previous trials that similar inoculations, including last year against the earlier coronavirus, was harmless to humans. So basically what happened is that they had a vaccine on another coronavirus, and that has proved harmless, so they can use the same technology to leap ahead and schedule tests for the new coronavirus vaccine involving more than 6,000 people by the end of next month. And what's exciting about this is that if it proves to be effective, then the first few million doses of their vaccine could be available by September. And September is actually coming up really short, and while other vaccines have to be at least like a year after it can be used, this has just gotten a head start, and I personally really hope that this vaccine can provide good results. The vaccine uses a technology that basically modifies another vaccine and modifies it to neutralize its effects, and then to make it mimic the one scientists seek to stop, and which is obviously the COVID-19. So injected into the body, this harmless imposter can induce the immune system to fight and kill the targeted virus, providing protection. And while this seems really confusing, it's just very different from the normal vaccines. And however, a definite problem that's going to be faced by these trials is that while there's a control group that does not receive the vaccine and there's a group that does receive the vaccine, we cannot control where these people come in contact with. So imagine if, let's say, the people in the vaccine group did not come in contact with anyone, and the ones in the control group had come in contact with people with the virus and gotten sick. So then the results would be like, oh my goodness, the control group had so many virus infections, and the vaccine people had so much virus infections, and it would lead to the result of the vaccines working, and that's just a problem that is definitely going to be faced by trials. And So I guess the scientists here are hoping for that the pandemic continues on, so there'll be more infections, and I think they're the only ones who would actually think like that. And personally, I think it's going to be a problem faced by every vaccine trial there is. The third thing that I like to talk about is that in the virus, men has been disproportionate. They have just been infected extremely badly than women, and women have, of all ages actually, have been escaping the virus very well. So there is some doctors that think it's due to hormones of women, and a clinical trial in New York is going to inject estrogen into men. However, if the hormones may fail because the hormones in the woman body do decline after menopause. However, a woman at the age of 93 can still recover quickly than a man of 93. So maybe hormones might not be the exact solution to it. However, hormones do have immune modulatory properties which can possibly boost the immune system. Research has also shown estrogen may have an effect on a protein known as ACE2, and the coronavirus uses ACE2 receptors on the surfaces of cells as an entry route. So if they can downregulate ACE2, then the coronavirus may stop attacking. Another research group is on the hormone progesterone, and progesterone is going to be researched in Los Angeles, and they think this is going to be better than estrogen because research has shown that the hormone reduces pro-inflammatory immune cells and supports those that fight inflammation. This will dampen an overreaction of the immune system and could reduce the likelihood of acute respiratory distress syndrome, which I previously mentioned is the major leading cause of death. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.